All right, I believe we are on now finally after four attempts. Um, this has been an interesting day of technical issues, but I'm finally on. Sometimes there are, it can be anywhere from 5,000, 500, or 5,000 to maybe 20,000 people in this thing. So these things do happen, but I'm on now. And hey, Holly, I made it. you know, I probably do a lot better on a spacecraft rather than being at my own laptop. But I'm glad I'm here, and this is Clear Blue Radiance, and this is an opportunity to get fresh new information and sometimes repeated information. Often, repeated information is good to do because it gives one an opportunity to be able to clarify some things. So let's see what's going on here. Let me kind of check out. Okay. All right. So I'm now in here. Ah, Deborah McLean, how you doing? How's everything? Let's see. Get myself on. I usually, not always, but I try to simulcast through my Instagram a little bit because I have family members that sometimes they're not on here on YouTube or Facebook, and they're on other applications. And so it is an opportunity for me to show up live. If I had my iPad in this room, I'd probably have it sitting up here and make it go live, or over here and have it go live. Catch me all over the place. Anyway, Clear Blue Radiance is a podcast that I've been doing for quite some time. It originally started out being called Wisdom Keys, but I had to change the name. I didn't realize that someone else already kind of had that particular title. But I started this about 3, 4 years ago. And I am right up to 198 live podcasts, and I try to come up with different subject matters that can be metaphysical, spiritual, and just everyday things that are connected to many of us. Often I might even talk about meditation. Today's topic is a new beginning is happening now. I'm doing this on the Resonant Essentials YouTube channel for Resident Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I get the opportunity to come on live whenever I am available, which is usually every Thursday. I'm supposed to come on at 1 or 1:15 p.m., but I'm here a little later, but nonetheless, I'm here. I get the opportunity to broadcast from home, and that's pretty cool. I like doing that. There's a side of me that doesn't need to be out in the street. So these topics are designed to trigger us to help us on one level or another, where we could find ourselves moving in a direction where we're happier, where we have greater patience, we have more grace happening in our lives. Um, we are spending a lot of time, since all the things that we see in the world that are happening, we are blessed that it's not happening exactly here, but it is on different levels. So that's the other reason for podcasting. I don't try to delve into political things because that's not my forte. And I stick to the metaphysical and spiritual as much as possible. Our topic for today is a new beginning is happening now. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm a spiritual counselor. I've been one for quite some time. I've been podcasting maybe the past 8 or 9 years or longer. In fact, when I lived back in New Jersey, I used to podcast, and that was back in 2005. So I've been around the bend a little bit, being able to come on here. And this is an opportunity to share what I have. Now, what I attempt to do with Clear Blue Radiance is help you gain greater clarity in your own life, discover your purpose or redefine your purpose with you. Our purpose gives us something of self worth and importance in the world and where we find ourselves. And as we evolve in our striving for higher consciousness, our purpose changes. So, the purpose that we have for ourselves and it is connected to others in the world changes as we change. So as we become more solid or we become lighter in our work energetically, we start paring down things like pruning back vegetables in a garden, right? And trees. We are striving to become better. Yeah, it's about all of us becoming better at what we are doing. And the way I'm going to try to do this, I didn't even get a chance to complete my presentation on paper, so I'm going to reach in and let my higher self guide this today. One of the things I thought about is, or questions, is how often do you find yourself searching for something new? It's important that we strive to discover who we are. Now, this particular YouTube channel, this is not my channel. I have my own YouTube channel, but I've been teaching all week through my Zoom account. I've taught Tuesday night, I started teaching from my new book, Radiant Heart, Seven Amazing Pathways to Connect, Activate, and Communicate with Your Higher Self. And that started so that it's every Tuesday as of from this month for 13 weeks. And then yesterday, I'm in the middle of my numerology course online. So, and then tonight, I got to come back on through my Zoom account and talk about the topic, meaning or title is You Are a Living Obelisk. And there's different ways of bringing that energy out. I usually don't do numerology readings here because it's not my channel. I'm doing these podcasts for the Esoteric School, Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics here in Albuquerque. So here are several questions. How often do you find yourself searching for something new? Are you bored and tired of the same routine? Are you uncertain of what to do or how to do something? And something that I chose here was I'm kind of doing Instagram and here at the same time. I chose art as an example. And the reason I chose art as an example is because art is a great way of alleviating yourself from being tired and bored. You know, we get tired, we have our routine habits every day. Meditation, of course, for me, is the foundation for everything. So I do my best to meditate daily. If I miss a daily practice, I've done at least twice a day. If I don't get it in the morning, when I first get up, sometime during the afternoon, or at some time at night. And I'm one of these late night hawks, so to speak, preparing lessons and classes and thinking of different things that I'm wanting to put into motion. Uh, Even though I got 7 books out there on Amazon, that's the only place I could put them at the time. I got 3 more I'm working on. So all of us are always finding something to do. Maybe you are someone that wants to learn how to play a musical instrument, such as piano or guitar. You have to find something that allows you to free the mind from everyday worry. You have to find something that not only frees your mind, but also empowers you at the same time. Music and art and dance, like jazz dance or classical dance, all these things have a way of reducing the stress out of our body and the stress in the world around us, in our environment, especially at home. So, here's something that if you were choosing art, do you need to have formal training? It goes the same ways for music. Do you need to have formal training? Maybe. It depends on how deep you're going to go into it. If you want to get the techniques of, how to play an instrument, hold an instrument. Sometimes when you're playing a piano, holding a guitar, or playing a violin, it takes more than just playing. It's also learning how to care for the instrument, how to keep it clean, how to do you keep the strings tight. I remember as a teenager, I thought that when you have a guitar, you just keep it right where it is. And then I found out over the years strings would pop. So I learned to untighten each of the 6 strings. So I would have less wear and tear. Hi there, Melanie. How you doing? I would have less wear and tear on the strings, on the neck of the instrument, on the body of the instrument, and of course, having a case for the instrument. Is it a strong case? Is it a soft case? We have to take care of the things that we have. Well, the same thing goes if you're an artist. And I choose art because I myself like to draw. That logo, the basis of that logo, I had a little help with one of my cousins who's an artist. But the overall circle and what looks like 2 or 3 or 7 angles in there, that's my own design. The man in the middle was looking a lot different from before for years. And then I said, since I've been doing meditation, I need to make it a meditation man. So I called on and paid one of my cousins to help me change it a little bit. Art is a great way of connecting you to things beyond yourself as well as things inside of yourself. Being able to draw or paint. And this doesn't mean that you have to have formal training. There's a few things I'm going to suggest in here that you can do. You don't have to be concerned like, well, some people say, "Oh, I can just draw a stick figure." Don't worry. I studied art over 40 years ago in a private college upstate New York when I lived in New York. And they took us the full circle. We had to learn how to draw the models that were in front of us, nude models in those days. We had to be able to draw and had to get it anatomically correct and bone structure and everything. Then, when we got good at that, or we thought we had it down pat and we were going to be smooth, teacher would bring a model in with clothes on. Now you've got to see if you could create that figure with clothes on. And then there's still lives. And then it was going outside different times of the day. People would think, I would like to be outside while it's sunny. Well, you got to learn how to draw or paint a scene when there's no sun in the sky. But all of this I'm talking about is really designed to allow yourself to go inside. And I remember one time when I was in the college I went to and graduated from was called Bard, Bard College, upstate New York. And at the time when I went in the 70s, there were many students that were from wealthy families. So they got a chance every summer to go to France, to go to Italy, to go to Germany, to go to South America. Just travel around and go to museums and see scenery. I didn't have that opportunity. I lived on Long Island, so I had to see whatever I had. But I remember when I was in high school, there was Roslyn. I could go because I lived on Long Island. I could go to North Shore to Roslyn. I could go out to Seacliff and go out where the piers were, or I can go down by the beach, Jones Beach, and all these beaches. But the best kind of drawing for me was getting on the subway, getting on the train, the Long Island Railroad, and sketch people from the conductor to people sitting around me. I remember one time I sat on a subway drawing a guy and his girlfriend. The guy got mad because he thought I was focusing on his girlfriend until someone standing at the door, because I was right there where you can get off. There was a guy saying, "No, no, no, don't be mad at this guy. You need to see this picture." And when the guy came over, the tough guy, he saw that I had his tats. I had his Yankee baseball cap. I had his hoodie. I had his pants. I had his girlfriend. And he said, "She normally don't smile. You even put a little smile on her face." I figured that's what you wanted to see was a smile, but she was asleep. And then she awakened and she saw it. Well, to keep the guy from being angry at me, I basically had to sign it and give it to him. But these things are there. The reason I'm bringing up art, because in art, there's all kinds of art. And I know there's a lot of, like the AI is sitting out there now, and everybody's getting into AI. But sometimes it is good to go back to the traditional, or we can now say the old fashioned way of creating art. You might want to sculpt from wood or metal or clay or marble. There's a lot of things. You might want to do ink, lithographs. You might want to do the coolest thing to do, but you got to be careful and have the right tools, is wood cutting prints. You can use different tools to carve the wood out to create the energy that you want, to create the picture that you want once you ink that pad and ink the wood and lay your printing paper on top. But one of the things about that is you have to learn that whatever you are trying to paint, when you put the print paper on top, it's going to come out in reverse. It is the same with linoleum, and that's a cool way to print. But let me get back to this because there's a metaphysical, spiritual message in here about art. Because right now in the world, at this very moment, there is a new beginning unfolding within you. And perhaps because that new beginning is trying to birth itself through you, which is connected to the universe, which is connected to your higher self, which is connected to your spiritual guides and spirit guides. Your spiritual guides are your ancestors that are on this side of the veil alive with you or may have transitioned. Perhaps you still have that connection with them. Art will bring it forward. So, we all are birthing something new. We're going to see it either sometime this year, sometime this week, months to come, next year. But it's already, the seed is already within us. It's an idea that needs to come forward. And this is why you have rappers and uh, spoken word artists, because rappers fall into that, who speak about the world around them and the experiences that we all are having one way or the other. A musician does the same, can pick up a string instrument or play a piano or play a percussion instrument, flute, and express or recreate what they are feeling based on what's going on in the world. Hi there, Jackie. So, art is always a healthy way to express. Music is a healthy way to express. Writing poetry is a healthy way to express. Get those feelings out. And at some point, birth a whole new idea in you. So let's say you went to, where would you start if you wanted to go get some art equipment? Now, I'm not talking about using graphic art. That's a whole nother deal. And I'm not a master at it, but I try. I've created like 150 things using just Microsoft Paintware with a mouse and just know how to do things that I want to do. But you go to an art and craft place, art and craft shop. You know, the things where you can buy the imitation of foliage and things of that nature. Oh, well, you're welcome, Stoke Culture. So these things are good. Pick an arts and crafts place that you are comfortable with. It doesn't matter how big the store is. You just need to go in there and look. Now, you could paint, you could draw, you could do mixed media, and that's fun too. But you got to figure out, well, if I'm going to do mixed media, what am I mixing? Well, let me tell you right away, don't put oil painting and acrylic together. First of all, it's going to, they're not going to mix oil paint and acrylic. Oil paint, if you use it, you need plenty of ventilation. If not, you can get sick from the fumes from the oils and the paints inside the oil painting. Maybe use tempera paint or better yet, acrylic. And one of the reasons why I say acrylic, because it almost forms a rubbery type surface if you use a lot of it on, like almost in globs. So you can sometimes peel it off the canvas. There's something known as flow art, where the paint is liquidy enough and you can prepare the surface, make sure the canvas is primed with what they call a prime surface of white paint that hardens and thickens so that you could pour the art and make all kind of designs. There's thousand ways. So you figured out in your mind what is it that you want to paint. Maybe you want to just do it abstract. You're not trying to paint an image per se. You're just trying to put some colors, some shading, and some shapes on canvas. You can do that. Or maybe you decide to set up a still life on your dining room table, your kitchen table, with a few items. That'll get you started. But you're going to definitely need some basic colors. Now, you're going to need black paint, you're going to need brown paint, you're going to need red, something close to red, usually what they call a cadmium red is nice. You're going to need orange, you're going to need something like cadmium yellow, you're going to need green, right? Like a grassy green or a little darker green. You're going to need blue, some shade of blue. You're going to, usually the traditional color blue is ultramarine, they call it. It's almost to connect with the darker shades of reflection in seawater that you see. And then you're going to move into a purple. And then you're going to go for white. And basically that's what you need, because technically you can create all kind of colors out of those colors. And you can always get a color wheel, as they call it, and it'll show you which colors create a neutral color. Like yellow and purple create a neutral color. Black and white create a gray color, and so forth. So you'll know primary colors. There's three of them, and then there's secondary colors and other colors. It just lets you know that that's present. Next is the brush. And you say, well, do I use a thin brush, a small brush, a brush that's only like the edge of this pen? Do I create a brush that has a point right there or here? How long should it be? Well, you're going to determine that. And then you want to determine if it's soft or bristle. That helps. And there's a whole bunch of things that go into this. Reason why you want to use acrylic, because when it comes time to clean up, water cleans the brush. But if you have oil paint, you got to have a special solution to release the oil paint out of the brush. And then you're smelling all of that. So you want to make it simple. I usually suggest two to three different kind of brushes. And as time goes on, you might find out the brushes have numbers, just like pencils. A number two lead pencil, the brushes have numbers, which is the thickness of the width of the brush. You'll wind up having over a dozen brushes, because maybe one day you get bold enough where I'm gonna put a huge canvas on my wall, and I'm gonna do that, and you can. It's important. You're gonna need something to mix the paint on. The old way was the wood. Now they got a slick surface. Now they got it with paper. You just take off one sheet of paper and kind of tape it onto your pad or put it on a board, and you can mix right there. And of course, you're going to need different surfaces: stretched canvas, pre stretched, already primed, different sizes. Experiment with a 20 by 30, experiment with a 18 by 24, experiment with a 10 by 16 size. And you can get them in groups. Some craft stores you go to, they may have several sets, several sizes, or one specific size. Buy it three at a time. But I want to let you know it's there. And if you want to go mixed media, try some gemstones, some beaded glass, pieces of metal, or have someone take a piece of wood for you and cut it to the size that you want and smooth it out so that you could paint on the top of that. Now, that's just some of the basics of supplies. The next thing is, what is it that you want to draw? And again, you can just freestyle it, or if you want to develop patience in yourself, because that's what this talk is about, different things to free ourselves from being bored, tired of routine. So, trying to draw a landscape or a city scene, and that's cool. A city scene or a landscape, meaning sitting out in nature and drawing it. Sitting, if you live in an apartment building and if you happen to have a balcony, then you can sit on the balcony. But here's some things we could do. We have the almighty cell phone now that takes pictures, right? So you could take your cell phone or your iPad and go into nature and just snap pictures and then recreate the picture from the photo of the scene, of whether it's a mountain, whether it has trees, whether it has lakes, it has a river, all of that. And it captures the shade depending on what time of day for you. Or a city scene. Maybe you're trying to get something with perspective, or just a series of buildings, or just homes. Take a picture, several pictures. That way, if you can't get outside, you can print the picture out in color with your printer and hang it up somewhere around you so you can see it. And then recreate what you just took a photograph of. It's a great way. All these things that you're going to do is going to what? Develop within you the principle of patience, also of faith, also becoming detailed in your analysis and what you see. All of that will be brought to the surface. The more you paint, the more you draw on a regular basis, you're going to find out just how creative you are. I want to also say, Z Man, hello. Z Man is one of my relatives. He's a natural photographer. This guy, he he shoots nature scenes, and they're wholesome and they're healing. He just finds them. I was out there in Arizona with him 2 years ago, visiting family there. Amazing work that he does. So you have to find something within yourself, a medium that you could work with, that's going to bring out everything you want to be brought out about yourself. Your thoughts. What kind of thoughts are you harboring? Sometimes you have things on your mind that you're striving to do. And because you got these things on your mind that you are striving to do, and I mean, you might have some worries and some anxieties about things. And because you're choosing a particular artistic medium, it's going to allow the answer to come to you. Artists know that, musicians know that, dancers know that, photographers know that. You working on a project, and it could be a long-term project for yourself, and all of a sudden something else that you're working on, the information is released to you. And what happens is you're no longer bored. You've been put into place something that expands your routine and makes it different. Something that you makes you happy, that you look forward to doing. You get good enough at it, maybe you'll be out there selling your artwork at street festivals. Or better yet, you might know 50 or 60 people who are waiting to see your creation on canvas or to hear it. You invite people over to your house, give your own concert, just you and your instrument, or you and one or two other people, so people can hear the flavor of your instrument against a dancer, or against an artist, or against a spoken word art person. The beauty of this is then you're collaborating, you and one or two other people. The most important thing is you're no longer bored. You've found a way to express yourself a different way. And being able to express yourself artistically, I tell you, opens you up to whole new levels, whole new insight about yourself, about your surroundings, about the things you see in the world. And one of the things, it sets you free because you have this and you have the heart. You got two hands with 10 fingers, 2 feet. Maybe you want to sit and play a drum set. Nonetheless, you are creating. And for those of you who are using technical things, you still can be creative. I always say, make sure you're in the work. This is when I used to study art history in college. One of the biggest things that we had to study was the style of an artist. You had to get familiar with the style of an artist, how they paint, how did they choose to create the figures. I remember one time doing some research. One of my art professors, he was a hard nosed guy, and he said, I'm going to give you an assignment, and I want you to study Picasso. He's one of the greatest artists in the world. I said, no, he's not. And he said, what? I said, excuse me. I said, Picasso is not the greatest artist in the world. He's considered a great artist, but he's not the greatest artist in the world. And, Mr. Professor, I think that Picasso got that idea, cubism, that he called it. He got that idea from something that he saw that was not in his country. And sure enough, I was able to find some letters. These letters, through research that Picasso wrote. He was traveling through Africa and he wrote about the art that triggered him to develop something called Cubism, African art from the motherland. He was studying the patterns of material, the colors that he saw. He was studying most of all the sculptures, the mask. This is where he got his foundation from to produce the cubic style, what he called of art. He saw it in Africa. He traveled there. And he spent a great deal of time there. So maybe other people might have called themselves down there on hunting tours, not him. He was down there to see some art. How did those people do art? How did they create this beautiful sculptures, elongated sculptures that created a whole new style to the world? See, an artist, like a musician, like a spoken word artist, like a dancer, if they ever get a chance to travel outside from which they live, they begin to see how other people express themselves artistically. And they get a chance to trade ideas. That's what musicians do. And people who do, what's it? They call the word hoofing. Hoofing is the slang word for tap dancers. They get together and they do that Broadway style dance, but they go back to the Harlem Renaissance time period and the time before that, and they see something all new. River dance, right? River dance was about the tap dancers expressing the history of Ireland or Scotland. But if you see river dance, right, you see the traditional dance, but in river dance, there was two American, we call them Asiatic brothers, Moorish brothers, who were doing tap dance to Irish forms of tap dance. And it was a whole new thing. And it was exciting to watch. In fact, PBS did it, river dance. And there's a section where when the people came from abroad from the UK on the boats and landed in New York City, who were they connecting to? All kinds of dance. And they got to exchange ideas through dance. Same thing happens with an artist. You get to experience different cultures and how different people paint and how different people draw. But here's the unique thing about it: art. Art can take you into science, the science of painting, the science of drawing. Once you get that down pat and you really understand how the mixture colors and how to stylize your paintings and maybe to draw with paint. Some people have a style where they must draw everything on the canvas first and get it perfect. And then they take their time and they lay the paint in. And that's cool too. I tried it, it doesn't work for me. What works is I just pick up the brush and I start drawing lines on the canvas. And I start from there. It's easier. I feel the presence of what the color is doing for me. How am I picking it up in my eyes? How I'm translating it. But see, what happens is you step beyond the physical world of art. So you become like an artistic metaphysician. A metaphysician deals with the unseen things, deals with the presence of things, the presence that is accumulated from eternal light, which is the spiritual nature of yourself. So if you were to go into art, you don't have to go to a formal training school and spend 5, 6 years studying art. Why? Because inside there's the inner artist, the internal artist, your higher self, the one that knows what you are to do. And you have to allow that internal side to come forward. How you doing there? Good afternoon, Rose Jefferson. Yes, Holly says it over here. The more he creates, the more it starts flowing. He gets into a flow. Art gets you into a flow. That's what you want. Musician gets it too. The late Gregory Hines, well known tap dancer, and a young man that followed in his shoes a little bit and came out on his own. Young man is still around. He's originally from Newark, New Jersey. His name is Savion Glover. He was like the next generation when they saw, if you ever get that movie called Tap, TAP, get the movie called Tap, and you'll see the young Savion Glover in the movie. But there's some things on YouTube where he's listening to the sound of drums and bass and piano and he's responding to it. Gregory Hines, he could go outside and hear the sound of trains and traffic and things, and he would respond to what he was hearing through the medium of tap dancing. You can do the same with art. You can go into a period of deep meditation with yourself and let all things from the inside begin to percolate and rise up within you. And then when you get that feeling through deep breathing, the rhythm of your breathing, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the rhythm of your brainwave level going on. And then you hear it's to pick up a brush, to pick up the paints, and to start to paint. And you may not do long, deep stretch lines. You may not make the broad stretches of lines like 4 inches. You might need just a whisker of it, as I would say. You might know that sometimes I put in front of myself two canvases, sometimes three blank canvases. Sometimes I put them together. Sometimes I have them separated. But I put one color on one as a background. I put color on another one that's a different background, and then maybe a darker shade on another one. And I let it dry. Then I start painting maybe in the middle. That's who I am in my heart, and I'm painting there. And the other two are my thoughts. Thoughts about something from a few days ago or months ago will go to the left. And what goes on the right is something I'm hoping to find coming in, but I got something in front of me. I'm just laying out some ideas. What I want you to get from this today's message is that each person that's listening to me, each one of you deep down inside is an artist, a musician, a photographer, a dancer, a composer, an arranger of music, a choreographer of dance. And you're going to find the time, or basically make time. Because when we make time and schedule it out, and you might say, well, I'm going to paint on the weekends because I have a lot of free time on the weekends. And I'm going to paint in the morning, just before breakfast or right around breakfast or between breakfast and lunch. That's when I paint. And guess what? You can paint in absolute silence in the background, or most people put on some music, favorite R&B music, maybe classical music, maybe what they call third world music. Get get some music where you can hear the African instrument called a kora being played. Beautiful sound. Have that in the background. Have some jazz going on in the background. Why? Because when you hear music in the background, it takes all this mental energy that you have where you're constantly thinking all the time, and it moves into the direction of sound. You see, it gets you to relax the mind so you're not over analyzing. You might just listen to one instrument. Nonetheless, it allows you to step into something that's fresh, but it's inside of you. I had a friend I grew up with, and these guys are now jazz musicians, but they could do a little bit of art. Their favorite artist, because they played a saxophone, their favorite artist at the time was John Coltrane. And they would listen to John Coltrane. And as time went on, I discovered, well, John's got a wife named Alice, and Alice plays the piano. But there's one point where Alice went into yogic ashrams, and she was learning yogic philosophy, and she switched from a piano to a harp, and she was playing a harp. And that's another delicate, beautiful instrument. You can get that behind you playing. The whole idea is fill your life with creativity. And I guarantee you, you'll never be bored again. Fill your life with creativity, something that's artistically speaking to you. You will not be bored, and you won't be sad. If you're sad, you won't be sad. You'll release tears. If you're angry about something, listen to some music that will punch through the anger and get you to open up to the internal, truer you. And once you do that, you're going to feel much, much, much better. Why? Because you've always been a creator. You are a co creator. You're painting images around you in your auric field, in your world, because you're thinking all the time. You're using words all the time. In fact, here's an exercise for you. Now, you may not have any paints in your home, but perhaps you might have some technical things that you can use, I'll call it. Get you a pack of colored pencils. What I want you to do is when you start to draw on paper, there's a brand of paper called Strathmore, and it gives you the proper thickness. Sometimes you could paint on it because it has ridges on it just like a stretched canvas does. You get one of those and put it on a special clipboard and let yourself take some crayons or crayons, as they call it, or just colored pencils, and let yourself express yourself. Now you might say, what am I going to paint or draw? And my suggestion to you is go within your heart. Put one hand on your heart and just tune in to what you feel that's going to pour forth into your body from your heart. And as you do that, start to listen. Start to allow your body to feel the idea or the image as it comes in and through you. And as that begins to happen, now I don't want you to limit yourself. What I want you to do is have a pad next to you too, because you might want to write something or write a few words. And as you begin to write just a few words out, something that you're trying to describe or birth through you, that's going to transform who you are. Once you start to do that, go to the drawing board, colored pencils, and color away. See what comes up through you. See, our muscles in our body are like the recording material of a tape recorder. We have lenses, a cornea, we got eyes. That thing called a pineal gland or pineal gland is connected to the two eyes. And the pituitary is connected to the crown. And you can use these organs to express something. You can put your hand on your liver or on your hand in the area where your kidneys are and tune in, and the kidney will tell you, yeah, while we were walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, this is what I felt. You go like, wow, what was that? And it starts showing you something that you were focusing on. But whatever you were focusing on, it either gave you balance or imbalance. Your body picks up all these things. So you want to allow yourself to be organically connected to your environment and to be able to express it through art. You know, when you get up in the morning, you feel happy. Do you ever feel like dancing? Just laying out some steps. Do you ever feel that? Because if you do, you're on to something. You feel like dancing, freestyle dancing, African dancing, indigenous Native American dancing. You just feel like dancing, playing an instrument, a flute, piccolo, a guitar, banjo, violin, cello. You just want to express what's on the inside. Participating in some form of art, because at some point you go from creating the physical art, and stepping into joining a league of artists organization. Then they call it a craft. It's a craft. It means you got skill. You've developed skill. Here's another thing though: if you join an organization, don't let the people in the organization tell you can't draw, you can't paint, because everybody can draw and paint on some level. We're not here to judge each other. We're here to explore, help each other explore artistic expression. Art belongs to the world. You can make it fit into certain categories. When I was in college, I was considered the political artist because I was drawing art that was connected to something I was feeling on campus, something I was feeling in the world. But as I got away from it, I didn't need to do that because there were other people that did that, and they did it much better than I did. And I was happy with it. So I went back into art for art's sake, just to paint, just to draw. And see, when I was growing up back in the 70s and the 60s, the only art you really saw was portrait art. So when people said, if you told somebody I was an art major, they said, "Well, can you paint my family? Can you paint my?" And I would go like, "Well, yeah, but that's kind of boring. Don't you want something else?" They go, "No, no, no. I just want a portrait." What they didn't understand was, for an artist or someone with artistic skills, you have to be paid for your time, because what the person doesn't understand is, if they want to sit for you, once you get them comfortable, they can't be moving around, can't move their head around, can't dip the head, can't move it back, can't turn it right and left, can't go from angle to angle. They got to sit up straight. They can't lounge too much, but maybe that's what they want. They want to get a picture of themselves lounging in the couch, laid out with a cup of coffee or soda or beer or whatever, glass of wine, reading the paper. The thing is, they can't physically move once you set them in position. So again, person said, "Well, I want a portrait." Use your camera, your iPad, cell phone, take some pictures. Then you paint from that. Because the average person is not a professional model. They cannot sit for 45 minutes to an hour straight without moving. And if they get up to go to the restroom and come back, they have to strike the same exact pose. They can't shift the pose. They can't go, "Oh, I got a little stiff sit. I can't sit there. I got to sit this way now." Well, that's the end of the session. Because the artist, unlike the photographer can take many pictures, black and white to color, and catch the shadow and the features and everything it needs to be seen in a photograph. But the painter can't do that. The person who's drawing you can't do that. They need consistency so they can complete the work. Art will free your mind. Art will release the spirit inside of you, the light that's eternal within you, and allow it to come to the surface and be seen. And metaphysically speaking, you don't exist. You're a holographic form vibrating out here. There's something inside of you that's causing all this atomic molecular structure to formulate you so you can be seen in the world, but that's not who you really are. You are a magnificent expression of divine light and presence of all that is, that evermore shall be, that alleviates you and releases you from the past. So that's my message for today. A new beginning is happening right now, and you need to get some art, and you need to paint your feelings, paint your ideas and your thoughts. You need to meditate and then paint or draw a little bit. Something every day or 3, 4 times a week. See, when we're creating something, we are releasing, but not only are we creating and releasing, we are communicating with other elements around us. You are creating with other people worldwide. You may not realize that your next door neighbor, 3 doors down, is in their basement tinkering with some trains or doing some sculpture or refurbishing some furniture. That's all artistic. You may not realize that across town, across from your city, there's a dance studio from children to adults learning to express themselves in dance. You may not realize that there's a musician blowing on a horn or a trumpet or harmonica or playing a guitar or stand up bass, electric or acoustic. You don't realize that you're in sync with other creative people around you. You don't have to know who they are. You just need to remember they're there around you. They're in your city, they're in your town, They're in your village, and they are creating work like you are creating work. Never forget that you are a powerful, expressive, living divine presence that can transcend anything, that can create a new world, because that's where this is leading to. There's something happening brand new on the inside of you. And if you get into some form of artistic expression and then say to yourself, I'm going to create a whole new paradigm for myself, you could create it through music and sound, ringing bowls, Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, gongs, flutes, piccolos, saxophones, cellos, double bass, guitar, drums, congas, the djembes. You can create this new feeling. In other words, you can prepare your environment for the birthing of a new world in your life right now. We don't have to wait until we break through the veils of the old stuff. We can do it right now. You can create it right now, and you can start putting it into the ether so that what you are living it right now. Because why? You are expecting it to be where? Right here on the inside of you. That's my message. A new beginning is happening now. Thank you for tuning in live. Woo! Thank you, people on Instagram, for tuning in live. Share it with other people. Those of you who are here, tell somebody to come back here and watch the message. Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey's podcast episode, Clear Blue Radiance. If you want to know what we're doing at Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, then go to www.resonantessentials.com. And you'll see the web page, and you'll see an events page, and you'll see a calendar, and you'll see the different practitioners that are connected and businesses that are connected. I'm one of them. So you can do that. If you want to know what the heck am I doing, go to my website, www.circleofgrace, just like you see here, Circle of Grace with the number one after the E. Don't put a space. You can put a space there, but don't put it too far out. Circle of Grace 1.us. You click on that, it'll take you right to my web page, a home web page, and I got about 11, 12, 13 different links up there. You can click on each one and read and see what I'm doing. I have a whole new blog in there right now. If you go to the testimonials, you'll see a few of them. But if you go to the part that shows you uh, classes that I'm doing and things, and if you keep scrolling down, you see a brand new blog. I had a blog there called Understanding Your Dreams. It was called Dreamscapes Dash Understanding Your Dreams. That's another book I'm going to work on. However, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that I have a workshop tonight that I'm doing online called You Are the Living Obelisk. And if you want to participate in it, it'll kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, uh, my time, 6 p.m., 5 p.m. West Coast time. And you can enter for $47. Email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com, and I'll give you the 5 different ways that you can jump into it. If you're out of the country, we'll figure it out. However, I'll see many of you on later tonight at 8 p.m. The topic is You Are a Living Obelisk. Subtitle, How to Raise the Frequency so you can connect with your higher self. This is the thing that has to be done now. All of us must connect with our higher self. And who is the higher self? The higher self is the part of you that already knows your true path of divinity. It is your true self. It is your transcendental self. It is the transformer in you. And you need to begin to live in the presence and spirit of your higher self and let the higher self live through you. This will help change the world that we see. Now, the world that we see is 3D, but many of you, if you live it from your heart and you've been compassionate, you've been a person of grace, I believe, and I exercise grace. Grace is ease. There's nothing I have to bring in. Grace is just going to show up. Go to www.circlegrace1.us // to keep it from bouncing all over. And you can go see what I've been doing. There's a seekers page in there. Need a consultation, I could help you. Spiritual guidance, I could help you. Thank you for listening. Let me say again, Z-Man, and I don't have my glasses on. I should put my glasses on. X0R Oral Ali. Thank you for showing up, Z-Man. Thank you for being here today. It's great broadcasting. Thank you to Melanie Hall, Jackie Fillmore, Barbara Ewing, Stoked Culture, Holly Hammett, Rose Jefferson. All of you are important. Also, Deborah McQueen. Thank you for being here. And in terms of getting information about yourself in numerology, just email me. I'll give you a little blurb about yourself. Deborah McQueen, email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com. Let me type it in here. Oops. Sorry, everybody that's in the audience on Instagram. Let me sign out. Let me put my website in the chat. And everybody, if you need it, copy it. Here is going to be my website. Thank you for being here today. I have a 73rd birthday coming up on Sunday, October the 30th, so I could be just anywhere. Let me send this email out first. Well, actually, it's the wrong thing. Let me remove it. Okay. The email. The email is, put a couple of dashes and a break. iam.circle of grace 1 at gmail.com. Okay. So, Deborah McQueen, if you send me your date of birth, I'll give you a very brief reading. And I'll give you, if you want to make a donation of your liking, any kind you want, I'll send you different ways that you could make a donation. It doesn't matter. It could be $5, $3, whatever you're comfortable with at the time, or how you feel that information is good for you. So there you go. That's the email address. Now, my website. And I really appreciate everybody that pops up on here whenever you can. Tell your friends about it. That usually I'm here every Thursday. Now that's my website, circleofgrace1.us with a single / at the end. And that'll take you to my website, and you can see the different things that I have on there. And That's important. Hold on. All right. So thank you so much for your time. See you next Thursday. I will I have your email address, Melanie, and I will send you the different ways that you can make a donation. Since you're outside of the USA, um, you would have to put yours through PayPal, I believe. But other than PayPal, I have some other ways in which to do it. So, thank you for your time. Really had a great time. This is when you listen to your higher self. Higher self tells you what to do. I had no clue what I was going to talk about today, but the higher self said, "Hey, let's talk about some art," and use that. So, take care of yourself, everybody, and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye now.